recently finished building this robot dog who I've affectionately named Pixel. So Pixel is equipped with a Raspberry Pi 5, and then there's a teeny tiny Raspberry Pi camera for his nose. There is a touch sensor on its head, and then as you can see where all the joints are, there are servos available to help with facilitating Pixel's movement. I would like to do an experiment with GitHub Copilot, whereas I want to see if GitHub Copilot can create its own script to control Pixel's servos, but not just to do anything. I want to see if GitHub Copilot can create a script that will move Pixel like a dog. We can do all of our programming in Visual Studio Code. But if you recall, Pixel has a Raspberry Pi 5, and there's no monitor connected to Pixel or the Raspberry Pi 5. What we can do instead is actually work in headless mode, which means that we're going to be programming things for the Pi without a monitor directly connected to the Pi itself. Instead, we're going to SSH into that Raspberry Pi 5 on my much larger computer that has a monitor. And then from there, that's going to enable me to access anything that I have loaded on Pixel's micro SD card, which includes the Raspberry Pi OS. And then I can also run scripts from my computer, but they'll run on Pixel. So let's get started. Here I have a script that uses Pixel Manufacturer's vlib library, which contains a function for face detection. If a human face is detected, we'll log the number detected to the terminal. Otherwise, the count for human faces detected will be 0. So here, my face has been detected. Now when I'm actually using Pixel, I'm not going to be holding Pixel like this. We'll put Pixel in a position so that way Pixel can already be elevated, and therefore the camera will be more focused where my face is rather than its nose pointing down right now and me having to lift it up. So now that we know that we can access Pixel's camera, what we can now do is start adding some different animation sequences for Pixel to perform. I've created a greet script that combines the code for detecting a human face along with some basic entry and exit animations that I'd like for Pixel to do in his greeting sequence. When the script runs, Pixel will sit. The sit action is included in the PyDog library that's been imported above. I've set the speed for the action to 50 so that Pixel isn't sitting too slow nor too quickly. Next, using the vlib library from earlier, Pixel's camera will start and begin face detection. I'm using the n variable to track how many human faces are detected. I only need a value greater than 0 to start Pixel's greeting sequence. As for the greeting sequence, when Pixel detects a human face, he'll start with a bark. Then in the middle, we'll add GitHub Copilot's custom servo movements to reflect Pixel's greeting behavior. And then finally, we'll end with Pixel wagging his tail. The for loop that I have for the tail wag will loop 20 times going back and forth from 30 degrees to negative 30 degrees. And since I like fast tail wags, I adjusted the speed to 90. He's a happy puppy after all. I also figured it'd be helpful to give GitHub Copilot some context of what constitutes a dog-like combination of servo movements. So I created this markdown file that contains example of, well, dog-like servo logic. And I have it organized by areas of the dog. So at the top, I have the legs. And then just below that, I have a section that's dedicated for the head. And then below at the very bottom, I have a section that's dedicated just for all the tail movements. Using GitHub Copilot, I'm going to ask it to add a custom sequence of dog-like behaviors to the greet.py file between Pixel's bark and his tail wag movement. What I've done here is open up the greet.py file so that way Copilot has it as context. And you'll notice that when I mention the servos.md file, I use the @ symbol. And what's that going to do is reference that servo markdown file that was created. So let's let this run and see what happens. Okay, so we have a response from GitHub Copilot. Let's see what it's done. So we can see its reasoning. It did go through that file, and then from there it created the dog-like greeting sequence, and it chose to have it stand up excitedly, do a tilt head, nod, and then do a play bow. And so down below, I can see GitHub Copilot's explanation of what it's added into the code itself, and I think this is very interesting. Again, this is purely experimental, just giving GitHub Copilot context and seeing how it understands a dog's movement. All right, so let's see what GitHub Copilot came up with. All right, he seems to be looking for my face. And I can also try moving him a little. Okay, he saw it. Oh, so cute. Moments like these are why I really love working with generative AI, because if you give a language model the right context, you can create some very interesting things.